So I want you to imagine, just for a second, the ultimate power outage.
And not the kind where your Wi-Fi goes down and you can't watch Netflix.
No, nothing like that. I mean, the sun itself just quits, and it sits one night and then decides, you know what? I'm done. Not coming back.
The terrifying forever night, it's basically the end of the world.
It's total, absolute darkness. And for the ancient world, this wasn't just some sci-fi what-if scenario. This was the ultimate threat.
Because you lose everything, not just light, you lose warmth, you lose agriculture, the entire rhythm of life just stops.
The world's operating system crashes.
Right, you lose order. And that's really what we're digging into today. We're looking at maybe the most famous blackout in mythology, and definitely a foundational story for Japan.
We're talking about the Amano Iwato.
The Heavenly Rock Cave.
This is the story of how the sun goddess, Amaterasu, got so unbelievably fed up with her brother that she locked herself in a cave.
And plunged the entire universe into darkness.
But the wild thing to me, looking at our sources, the Kojiki and the Nihon Shoki, is how the other gods solve it. They don't use a sword. They don't try to blow the door down.
They solve it with a party.
They throw a party to save the world. And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. We're not just telling a story. We're pulling from the oldest written records in Japan.
The Kojiki, the Records of Ancient Matters from 712 CE, and the Nihon Shoki, the Chronicles of Japan from 720. I mean, these are the bedrock.
So we're looking at texts that are over 1,300 years old. But these weren't just bedtime stories, were they? There was a political reason for writing all this down.
Oh, a massive one. These books were basically the resume for the imperial court. The Yamato rulers commissioned them to prove they had a divine right to rule.
And the way you do that back then is to trace your family tree straight back to the gods.
Specifically to the sun goddess, Amaterasu.
So if you're the emperor, this isn't just a myth. This is your proof of office. I rule because my great-great-great-grandmother is literally the sun.
Exactly. It connects the throne directly to the cosmos, and that high-stakes context makes the actual story even weirder. Because the thing that almost ends the universe, it's a family fight.
The ultimate sibling squabble.
Yeah.
So let's set the stage. We have Amaterasu, the sun goddess. She rules the high heaven. She is order, light, rice farming, weaving.
The responsible older sister running the whole show.
And then you have her brother,
Susanoo.
the storm god.
And honestly, reading his description in the Kojiki, he just sounds awful.
He's the definition of a disruptor. He's raw, unchecked nature, the storm that wipes out the crops. The notes say he was wailing until his beard reached his chest, just causing mountains to wither.
So his tantrums are literally ecologically destructive.
Yes, and the conflict really kicks off when his father, Izanagi, kicks him out. But before he leaves for the underworld, he says he wants to go up to heaven to say goodbye to his sister.
Which Amaterasu is rightly suspicious of. She doesn't put on tea, she arms herself. She gets her bow and stands her ground because she knows her brother is trouble. She's ready for a fight, but Susanoo insists he's just there to say bye. They have this contest to prove he's sincere. It's this whole thing with chewing up swords and jewels, but Susanoo declares he won.
And in his mind, winning gives him a free pass to do whatever he wants in heaven.
Which is where the rampage begins. And these aren't just random acts of vandalism. The Kojiki lists his crimes in a very specific order.
It's like a strategic attack on civilization.
You could almost call it agricultural terrorism.
First on the list is breaking the ridges of the rice paddies.
Which to us might sound like kicking over a sandcastle. But if you break those ridges, the water drains out, the rice dies. That's not a prank, that's starvation.
Then he covers up the irrigation ditches. Same thing, he's attacking the infrastructure that keeps people alive.
Exactly. But then he escalates. He moves from production to ritual. The sources say he defecated in the Great Tasting Hall.
Okay, we have to pause here, because that sounds like a juvenile prank. But the Great Tasting Hall is a big deal, right?
It's the Daijosai. It's the most sacred harvest ritual where the divine ruler tastes the first rice of the season. It is the connection between heaven and earth.
So by doing that, Susanoo isn't just being gross.
He's ritually polluting the heart of their religion. He's making the sacred unclean.
Well, what's crazy is that Amaterasu, she actually tries to smooth it over at first. She makes excuses for him, saying, oh, he was just drunk. She tries to rationalize the chaos.
She tries to maintain order by ignoring the disorder, until he crosses a line that she just can't ignore.
The weaving hall.
This is where it turns from vandalism to real violence. Amaterasu is in her sacred weaving hall, overseeing the making of divine garments. It's a quiet, orderly, sacred space.
And Susanoo gets on the roof, tears a hole in it, and drops something through,
A heavenly dappled horse.
which is bad enough. But the text adds this one detail that is just stomach-churning. It says the horse had been flayed backward.
Skinned alive. And backward implies a deliberate, perverse, unnatural act. It's just grotesque.
So this bloody, screaming, skinned animal crashes through the roof into a room of women who are quietly working.
And the result is tragic. One of the weaving maidens is so shocked she hits her genitals on the weaving shuttle and dies.
That is so specific and
Yeah.
so graphic. It feels like the myth is making a very pointed connection here.
It is. It connects the storm's violence directly to the violation of the female body and the creation of life. Blood and death have now entered the sanctuary. Order has been broken.
And Amaterasu's reaction to this
Yeah.
is what changes everything. She doesn't fight him. She doesn't scream.
She shuts down.
She retreats. She goes into the Amano Iwato, the heavenly rock cave, and pulls a giant boulder across the door.
And, click, the lights go out.
Everywhere. The high heaven goes dark. Earth goes dark.
The sources describe the sound of this darkness in a way that just gives you chills. It says the voices of the myriad evil spirits rose up like the buzzing of flies.
Wow. Buzzing like flies. That's not a roar. It's the sound of decay. Of rot.
It's the sound of a billion tiny things eating the world now that the purifying light is gone. All sorts of calamities start happening.
It's a total system failure.
It is. And it's interesting because in some other Asian myths, the problem is too many suns burning up the earth.
Right. Too much power.
But here, the Japanese nightmare is the absence of power, the absence of the center. Without the sun goddess, the world instantly collapses into this buzzing chaos.
So we have a universal crisis. The world is ending. The 8 million gods gather in a dry riverbed to figure out what to do.
This is the war room scene. But they don't do what you'd expect. No one grabs a hammer to go smash the door down.
Because force is what caused this whole mess in the first place.
Exactly. Susanoo used force. You can't force the sun to come back. It has to want to come back.
So they need a different plan. A smarter plan.
And the god in charge is Omoikin, the god of wisdom. He's basically heaven's chief strategist. And he comes up with this brilliant plan that's all about psychology and ritual.
Let's go through the props list. Because these items they create become, well, the most important objects in Japanese history.
They absolutely do. First, they gather the long-singing birds of the eternal night.
A very poetic name for roosters.
Right, roosters. Because roosters crow at dawn, they're trying to simulate a morning.
They're trying to trick her. So inside the cave, she might hear them and think, wait, is it morning? How can it be morning without me?
They're creating a cognitive dissonance. Then they bring in the specialists. The smith god and the mirror maker create the Yada no Kugami, a huge bronze mirror.
And the jewel ancestor makes the string of Magatama beads.
And they hang these on a sacred sakaki tree right outside the cave door.
Now, the mirror and the jewels. These are two of the 3 imperial regalia of Japan.
Correct. The myth is their origin story. It's saying these objects were forged in a crisis to literally save the world.
They also burn the shoulder bone of a deer. Data.
It's divination, scapulomancy. They're reading the cracks to make sure the plan has a high probability of success. They're not just guessing.
So the data says go. The stage is set. But every good production needs a star performer.
And this is where the energy of the whole myth just flips.
Enter Uzume.
The goddess of mirth, the goddess of dawn.
She is the wild card. She flips over a wooden tub, using it as a drum, and she starts to dance.
And the text makes it very clear this isn't some polite, formal dance. She becomes divinely possessed. It's an ecstatic, wild trance.
And in this frenzy, she
What?
she unbinds her sleeves, she lowers her waistband, and she exposes herself.
Her breasts, her genitals, everything.
A divine striptease for all the gods.
Then we have to see this through the lens of the myth. It's not just lewd. Think about what happened in the weaving hall.
The maiden who died from a wound to her genitals.
Exactly. That was death and violation brought into a sacred female space. Uzume's dance is the antidote. It's the female body as a source of joy, power, and overwhelming life force.
It's an affirmation of life in the face of all that darkness.
And the other gods. They get it. They don't gasp or look away.
They laugh. The text says, the 8 million gods erupted in laughter so loud it shook the high heaven itself.
Now put yourself inside that cave. You're Amaterasu. You're grieving. You're angry. You expect the world to be weeping because you're gone.
And instead, you hear the biggest party in the history of the universe breaking out right outside your door.
It doesn't make sense. It breaks the narrative in her head. Why are they so happy? I'm gone. The world should be over.
It makes her curious.
Yeah.
And curiosity is the one thing that can open a locked door.
She can't help it. She pushes the boulder aside just a crack and asks, "The world is dark without me, so why is Uzume dancing and why is everyone laughing?"
And Uzume, who is just the absolute MVP of this whole thing, doesn't beg. She lies right to her face.
She says, "We're celebrating because there's a god here more brilliant than you."
Ouch. That's got to sting. A replacement. Who could possibly be a replacement for the sun?
And right at that moment, the other gods hold up the giant bronze mirror.
And she looks into the crack in the door, and she sees a radiant, brilliant, glowing figure.
She thinks it's this new god. The text says she's captivated by her own light, but she doesn't recognize it as herself.
That's such a powerful idea, that she's drawn out of her own darkness by the beauty of her own true nature, just reflected back at her.
Yes, it suggests the return of the light comes from, in a way, self-recognition. From that spark of curiosity about oneself. She leans forward to get a better look.
And that's the moment the trap springs.
Taji Karao, the god of strength, was hiding right beside the door. He grabs her hand and pulls her all the way out.
And before she can run back in, they immediately stretch a straw rope, a shimenawa, across the entrance to the cave.
You see those ropes at every Shinto shrine today. They mark a sacred boundary. Here, it was the ultimate do not enter sign.
And just like that, light fills the heavens and the earth again. The world is reborn. The buzzing flies are gone.
Order is restored, but, and this is so important, Susanoo isn't killed.
Right. They don't eliminate the chaos.
You can't. The storm is a part of the world. He gets punished, sure. They cut his beard and kick him out of heaven. But he's still around. He even becomes a hero in later stories.
So the goal wasn't to destroy chaos, but to manage it, to reinforce the center so it holds.
Exactly. And they did it not with a single hero, but with a community. The roosters, the smiths, the jewel makers, the dancer. It was a collective ritual that coaxed the light back.
And that descent into the cave. It's kind of symbolic death, isn't it?
It's a classic death and rebirth cycle. The sun dies and then it's resurrected. But that resurrection needed a shock to the system. It needed laughter. It needed that mirror.
It needed a jolt of pure life. That's what Uzume's dance was. A reminder that life is messy and funny and physical. You can't just brood in the darkness forever.
And that mirror, the idea that she was captivated by her own light without knowing it was herself, it suggests that wisdom and light come from looking at yourself. The gods didn't command her to return. They made her want to return.
Which is a very different approach from, say, a god king who just demands obedience through force.
Very different. It emphasizes harmony, strategy, and the power of the group over the lone warrior.
It's also a story about resilience, isn't it? When the lights go out, when the system fails, our first instinct is often to panic or to get angry and fight.
But this ancient story suggests something else. It says, don't attack the caves. Don't yell at the darkness.
Instead, gather your friends, make something beautiful.
And then find a reason to laugh. Because laughter proves life is still happening. It denies the darkness its victory.
And that curiosity, that need to see what all the fun is about, that's what ultimately brings the light flooding back.
It's a pretty profound strategy. Sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't a sword.
It's a party. So next time you're facing a blackout, literal or metaphorical,
Maybe don't reach for the battle axe first.
maybe reach for the karaoke machine.
And a mirror. Don't forget the mirror.
And a mirror.